Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to SCube TV. We have a very special guest with us today, Mr. Nelson Rodriguez, with us. He's running for House of Representatives from District 103 in Florida. And welcome to the show, Mr. Nelson. How are you today?
Thank you, sir. I'm doing just great.
Very nice. We would like to know a little bit more about yourself, your education and your profession, and what made you to get into the politics and run for
Well,
this particular seat. Sorry.
yeah, no worries. Thank you. My name is Nelson Rodriguez. I'm the vice mayor of the town of Miami Lakes here in Miami Lakes, Florida. By profession, I'm a firefighter paramedic, and I've been so for the last 32 years. Um, I'm a father of three and married to my wife Lisa, a high school sweetheart, for 27 years. My background is that I decided to be a firefighter, following the footsteps of my brother, and I attended Miami-Dade Fire Academy and Miami-Dade College to get my EMT and paramedic certifications, and my college was at Miami-Dade as well. I've been working on like I said, as a firefighter paramedic for 32 years. My biggest accomplishment is my family. My three children. One is a firefighter. One is going into nursing school, and one is working right now for the U.S. Census. But in reference to me, I've always liked the community service, and so I had the opportunity to become the PTA president, the Parent Teacher Association president for my children's school, and during that time. Developed a great relationship with the community, and I was asked to run for office in 2012. I was successful in that election in 2012 to the council for Miami Lakes, and then again in 2016. I am termed out now, again I was asked to run for the state seat for District 103 to represent the Northwest Miami-Dade area in Tallahassee, and so that's where I'm currently doing right now. And tomorrow's election day.
Very, very nice. You're one of those luckiest people. Who can continue in the childhood dream and also stay with the high school sweetheart. That's another. Those are two things which every youngster looks for. And whenever you talk to a small boy, what do you want to be when you grow up? They said, I want to be a firefighter. So you're and also those are the people first responders, I would say. So we
Sure.
salute your services, especially during this time and even other times too. Whenever there's something happens in this community, you're the people who come and respond to the situation and try to help them. So very nice. Can you talk a little more about your firefighter experience? 32 years as a firefighter. In the fire department.
Yes.
I do not have anyone, from the fire department on our show so far. You are the first one to be, from the fire department. I had police officers, I had a teacher, and I have many other people from the other different professions, doctors, but not a firefighter so far.
Well, actually, I wanted to be a police officer, um, and my brother became a firefighter. And then I saw I was a police cadet with the City of Hialeah Police Department, and then I saw the opportunity I saw these young folks with the fire department. I was asking what they were. They were cadets with the fire department as well. So I changed over from police to fire to be a young cadet as a teenager, and then I went through the training, and I was lucky enough to get hired. But it's an amazing profession, and you really do get to help out the community immensely.
Very nice. Is there any incident, which kind of, I know there are many situations where you have been pulled into. Is there anything which particularly, have touched your heart and kind of a long memory you have on of that
Well,
particular event?
there's a lot of memories. It's interesting you ask that question because a friend of mine retired, and yesterday was his anniversary of retirement, 5 years, and we were kind of reminiscing over the phone of his retirement. But there's a couple of New Year's Eve incidents where people get a little bit too drunk and too aggressive. So we've had a couple of those that are very memorable. But I think one of the most memorable ones lately has been the opportunity to go with the fire truck to people's homes and celebrate their birthdays. Um, they because of COVID, they weren't able to have parties and things like that. So we've gone with police and the fire trucks and done these little drive-bys for the for the children, and to see their eyes light up, to let them know that their birthday is not forgotten, that their celebration is not forgotten. I think that's the latest, most memorable situation that I've had, and it really is a privilege to go by and celebrate with them.
Very nice to hear this one. I mean, I know that many cities, I mean, they are calling the first responders to celebrate the birthdays or some special events, graduation party events or birthdays, which is very nice of you. I salute all the first responders, all the critical, I mean, uh, service providers right now. Thank you very much. So coming back to the politics, what made you to get into the politics? I know you've been servicing the community as a fire, I mean, in the fire department, and also, and I heard, I mean, you got into the mayor role. So what initially attracted you to the uh, position which will be elected by the people?
Well, the one of the things that attracted me was service to the community, and then so I moved into into my community, and I always volunteered in different things. But I moved into the small community that me and my wife bought our first home, um, and so those a couple things that I didn't like in the homeowners association. Um, I went to a homeowners association meeting, and I was complaining and saying, "Listen, there's some issues that need to be addressed," and I didn't get the reception that I expected. Uh, and so when I was told, "Okay, you've given us your grievance, you can go ahead and leave," I was like, "No, I want to attend the meeting. I want to see what's going on." So at that point, I figured, you have to join them in order to make things happen. And you've heard the saying, if you want things done right, do it yourself. And so, I said, that's it. I'm going to join. So I became president I joined the homeowners association, and I eventually, within a year, I became president of the homeowners association. And that got me involved in the aspect of advocating for my little community. And then from there, advocating to the city for different things. And before you know it, it was second nature to me to go ahead and continue to advocate for the entire community. I then became president of the Elementary Schools Parent Teacher Association, the PTA, and then that pushed me again to continue to advocate for the students. And then the opportunity came to where there was an open seat to run in the Miami Lakes Town Council, and the community asked me to run, and I did so, and they've been amazing to me ever since.
Very nice to hear that. I mean, you touched many parts of our society. Like, I mean, first you started with the homeowners association. That's where many people start. And then also you're looking at the education. I mean, the school PTA. That's where another important aspect of the society. And you've been, by profession, you've been touching the people by the firefighter profession. And mayor is another thing which will be, will be part of playing a good role or an important role in the lives of the every citizen of the particular city.
Yeah, I'm the vice mayor. I'm not the mayor. I'm the
Yeah,
vice
vice mayor. Sorry, vice mayor. Gotcha. Okay, a city council member, then the vice mayor. Gotcha. Very
Yes.
good. Yep, those are all the things. So, what is that? I mean, the city. You've been on the both sides, like, I mean, homeowners association and the city council member and the vice mayor. See, I want that pulls me into asking you one question. Most of the, I mean, city council members will be dealing with the uh, most of the times will be the real estate and the builders with the permits and the zones and those kind of things. And on the other side, you have the homeowners. I mean, who would like to protect their peaceful nature of their community. So, how do you balance? You've been on the homeowners association side, and also you're on city council, and you need to balance out between the homeowners and also the business people. So, what is that you're seeing, and how you handle those two different groups?
The having that background um, helps me out in reference to running the homeowners association because many years ago, 1998, I believe, or 1997, when I was the president of the homeowners association in my community, we had a problem with a commercial builder building next door to us. Um, and so I was able to negotiate with the property owner um, a, a, a buffer they built a small hill with trees and landscape to buffer the noise from a car dealer. And so I learned a lot in that negotiation of what needed to do. As that car dealer moved closer and they expanded, some years ago, I got a call from the attorney from that community. I no longer live there, but I got a call from the attorney of that community and said, please explain to me the history of how you got this buffer between the properties. And so I was called in, and at this point, again, I was already an elected official, and I was called in to assist both the community and the car dealer on what to do and explain the history. And so we were able to come up with some parameters that really helped out. At the time, the property owner was giving us the minimum buffer of 15 feet, which was what was required by law. And they thought that I would just concede at 15 feet, but that didn't happen. So we got a 30-foot buffer, but that dealership needed those extra 15 feet. So we're able to again explain to them how close those homes were to the dealership and the effect it was going to do. So we were able to redesign the building to where the back of the dealership, where nothing happens and very little happens per se, was able to be placed next to the homes, and we were able to build a huge concrete wall to buffer out noise and leave the landscaping, and it worked out great. So bringing those two dynamics together really helped in reference to bringing that coalition of home and businesses together and working together. We did another big project near a school, and unfortunately, by us requiring that they build a lower height building, not full 5 stories, to bring it down to 3, it pushed the building down and out. It made it wider rather than more narrow, and it actually we did more damage than good. And so trying to protect the school and the community by not having a tall building and making it lower to fit in with the rest of the community pushed the building so far out that it's right on top of the school. So we had to come up with some creative ways to deal with that. And I think we got the best of both worlds, because once the building was already designed, they were not going to go back to the drawing board and rebuild a 5-story building again. So it is a balance. It is a delicate balance of what you can do with the community and what you can do with the business. And so when you show faith and sit down and say, listen, we're going to work together with both and bring everybody into the room, we're able to mitigate that better than just he said, she said, and do it that way. But I think we've come in Miami Lakes, we've come to this consensus where we bring everybody together in the room and put everybody together and say, hey, let's think this out so that it'd be beneficial for everybody. And we've done that. We've managed to do that, and it worked out great.
Very good to hear that those stories, where you were able to work out with both the community and the business people. That's very nice. So coming back to the Florida right now, and you're running for the state representative from District 103 of Florida, and right now Florida has all over the world. I know the COVID-19 is a serious issue. And Florida especially has Florida, Texas, California. There are a few states where the numbers are going up, and the death rates are also going up. So how is the situation in Florida, especially in the Miami area? And also, what do you think of the government response from the government and people, how they are behaving? So what is your view and what is your perspective on whole situation in Florida?
So in early June, I was diagnosed with COVID-19. Uh, my wife is also a nurse, so she's a frontline worker. She also she passed it on to me. Um, we suspect she got it at work. So we had COVID. Luckily, we didn't have any major signs and symptoms, and we were fine. So we the problem was testing, getting testing results. Um, I think that the Florida response to COVID has been amazing. Our governor has done a fantastic job in getting COVID response and getting testing sites open immediately. The biggest problem that we're having, and I think we're having nationwide with COVID, is the reagent that they need for test results, and that the labs weren't ready for the overwhelming amount of people testing um, with COVID. And we've asked people to test only if they have signs and symptoms or a direct exposure to COVID. But people are testing even though and they don't have any signs and symptoms and no exposure, just because they're curious to see if they have COVID, and it's free. So that's been a huge delay in the COVID. And I think one of the issues that we had was when we started phase one reopening. There was more exposure. Some people were getting there was more exposure, and so there was an increase in COVID in the community. The 10 to 15-day waiting period to get test results to me has been the biggest detriment to the spread of COVID, because people feel fine, they're asymptomatic, they have no symptoms, and they test because of exposure or because they felt that they needed to test. And since they're asymptomatic and not having any issues, and they have a 10-day to 15-day waiting period to get their results back, they're out spreading it because they're not taking their containment properly. And I think that that's one of the biggest issues that we're having with COVID. We had all the PPEs that we needed at the fire department. Some of the hospitals were a little short on proper PPEs because they've never had that issue. Um, but I think the government got everything we needed as quick as possible. Unfortunately, there was a shortage in the market because it's my understanding that China started hoarding PPEs, and so they started buying out as their stuff that they were manufacturing and stuff that was being manufactured worldwide before we knew that the virus was out. But in the Miami area, I think that one of the biggest detriments that we've done is to the economic part of our city. Our current mayor, our county mayor, Carlos Jimenez, has shut down restaurants again. And our restaurants for indoor dining, some of our restaurants spent between some up to 38,000. Some mom and pop small restaurants spent $5,000 or $6,000 putting up barrier devices, cutting their restaurants in half, half the volume, so they can follow the guidelines of the CDC. And so they're the ones that are the most worried about making a dollar and keeping their businesses open. And to shut them down again has really impacted. I mean, we have a restaurant in Southwest Miami that's been around for over 40 years, is a Miami landmark, one of the most trusted restaurants in the area, and they closed their doors. They're closing their doors at the end of August and said, we're done. We cannot afford to just feed people outside, to have outside service. We cannot afford this anymore. And they spent a ton of money, all their savings that they had to put all the barrier devices inside. And all of a sudden, there's no evidence that there was major contraction through the restaurants. Now there is restaurants and bars and stuff like that have abused it, the reopening, and so we understand. But sometimes you have to enforce those, put the force on them rather than a general issue. But it's I think that economically we're more devastated. I did lose an aunt to COVID. She passed away. So we've had several family members with COVID. So I understand the virus. It's completely different from a regular flu in the reference to the numbers of people lost, especially worldwide. But we need to start having people get back to work, having people wear proper mask, at least any type of barrier device on the face. And I think with herd immunity, you're going to start to see uh, the downward um, deflection and the curving, as they say, of the COVID exposures.
Very nice. I mean, we salute again you and your wife. I mean, being the front runner, front line. I mean, responders or the workers. So very nice. And sorry to hear about the loss of your aunt. And see, and then you're also one good thing is you are able to recover from the COVID-19, which is one another example, which is nice. I mean, not everybody will be able to react the way you were able to react. And you brought up another point. I mean, like I mean, the economy and the restaurant business. What we have seen is, I mean, in the market. I mean, even if you open up, I mean, if there are a few states where the things are open, but still people are not willing to go out and venture out, and then so even though if you open the business, I mean, most of the customers are not willing to go out and dine in. I mean, we see the carry-out business going up. Even myself, I mean, got the carry-out multiple times last few weeks. But I mean, if you want to go out and eat, I mean, we little hesitate to go out and dine in somewhere. So with this kind of psychology from the customers and the environment outside. So whether whatever policy you make, I think, I mean, it is not going to help these kind of businesses. Am I? This is what I'm looking at. I mean, it is a tough time for the people in that business. Unfortunately, I myself, I mean, owned a pizza business, but coincidentally, I closed it. I mean, we closed it. I mean, one year before, so we were not into this particular situation. But I see it's a big challenge for the people who are on that line of business. So,
Absolutely.
sorry, go ahead.
No, no, absolutely. I completely agree with you. I mean, the senior citizens, the more delicate people that are exposed to COVID and have the biggest complications with COVID are not going to go out. My mother, who liked to go every Sunday to a specific restaurant, will not be going out, and she hasn't been going out. So it's a double-edged sword. Unfortunately, even if you open, but there is a significant amount of the population that I can see that are trying to encourage people to go out, and B, are going out themselves and spending $1 or $2 to keep these businesses alive because they understand. And so, I think that even at a half-life of what they were, I think these businesses can stay afloat till we can get past this with indoor dining and outdoor dining. But it's not helping. The not having the indoor dining, and you're right. There's people afraid, and those people aren't going to go. No matter what happens, those people aren't going to go. But
Yep, I agree. I mean, I was listening to some other show somewhere else, and they said, I mean, one of the economists, they said, the restaurant business they may pick up once everything settles down because people like to have the experience. I mean, you can make the same food or better food at home, but I mean, you need the ambience and the environment and the energy levels when you go out and eat in a bar and sit in a bar and then the restaurant. That's totally different experience. So for that experience, people will come back, but it will take some time. So we'll leave the topic right there, and we'll come back again, and we'll go to something else. In the Florida being a tourist-driven economy and a tourism-dependent economy, I mean, most of the places. I mean, I'm sure this is the one what I've been hearing and reading is the Florida is the hardest hit state on the economy side. So, what if you are elected? What is that you would like to do to bring the economy back? I know, I mean, it was proposed. I know you're not the only one who will be able to solve the whole problem. It's not your complete responsibility, but what is that you would like to propose or see changes in the policies that will help the businesses to grow in Florida and improve the environment and the job and number of jobs and especially small businesses?
well, I think one of the biggest things that we need to do is we need to have a 360 look at the economic impact in Florida. Miami-Dade County has got the hardest closures right now in reference to the whole state. in reference to COVID. So what's happening is the people from Miami-Dade are crossing over the border in Broward, which has indoor dining, and their beaches are open and ready to go, and they're spending their dollars there. The west coast of Florida, from Sanibel Island, Marco Island, Bonita Springs, Estero, Fort Myers are having the most amazing summer and season I think they've ever had, because people are leaving Miami-Dade County and moving, are not moving, but going to vacation over there because they're open, and they don't have they didn't have the numbers we did. Again, our Miami-Dade is the most populous county in the state. So, we do have, we're going to have a little bit more volume of numbers. Orlando, is reopening the parks, and they're doing it smartly. And their numbers are very, very low. So that Central Florida area has managed to keep it low. I think one of the biggest things that we need to do is, because of population, we need to get our testing results faster back to people so they know they're positive or negative, so they can quarantine properly. But I think we need to have a look statewide and say, okay, how can we share those revenues? Because the Miami area, the Dade County area, is losing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue by some of these lockdowns. And so, the boating industry is huge in Miami. So right now, the boating industry is having an incredible season in sales of boats and boat repair. It's amazing what's happening, because that's one way that people can go out and get away from large groups, and they can be in their own boat. So there's some successes there, but after seeing that COVID doesn't last very long on surfaces that the CDC reported, we still haven't opened our parks. We still haven't opened our playgrounds, and our to children who are less than 1% affected by COVID. So we've locked them down from that too. So there's a lot of issues going on that we need to reflect. Schools aren't going to open up; they're going digital or virtual. And so what happens to those parents that can't have nowhere to leave their children? So now leave their children at home alone, or they have to stop working to take care of that child at home. So we now have academic pop-ups, basically YMCA or community churches opening up their churches or opening up their auditoriums so that parents can leave their children. They'll supply the Wi-Fi, and the children has to bring in their lunch and their computer, and they'll supply some type of teacher, some type of guardian during the day, so those children can go online, do their education, and then the parent will pick them up, and it's going to cost the parents money where it didn't before. So these are effects that we really need to be looking at, that are going to affect the economic standing of Florida as we continue to open up. One of the other biggest things that we need to do, and it's not tourism, is the dollars that are given to the people for the COVID dollars from the federal government, unemployment dollars. Some people are making what they were making before or more in reference to their unemployment dollars. So why go back to work if they can just sit at home and collect the same amount of money? So what's happening is we need to focus on that and say, okay, if you have the opportunity to go back and your business owner is telling you, hey, it's time for you to come back to work, we need to report that somehow so that the business owner can report it to unemployment and say, okay, look, this person says they don't want to come back to work because they're making the same amount of money. So it's something that needs to be addressed, and we really need to look at it as this continues to develop. We're learning more and more, and unfortunately, it's become a political hotbed because one side says, we need to continue to give people money, which I completely agree. There's people that they're just business and work is not successful, and we need to help them out until they can get up and running. But for those folks that want to stay home because they're making equal or more money than they were at work, then we have a problem. because they can't get enough employees.
That is, you're right. I mean, most of the small businesses, I mean, they don't get the right resources. We to come and work for them. I mean, because there are many other options they have, so it will be challenging to attract the resources to run the business for sure. I mean, yep, that's a. You touched on another point, but the unemployment benefits will come back another day. I don't want to get into this little sensitive topic. So at this time, I mean, I've seen these kind of situations in Europe, especially. I mean, I'm in a contract staffing business, so I deal with the people. So I've seen these kind of situations in Europe. I mean, I've not seen in the US in the past. In
Right.
Europe, I mean, I've seen a situation where I had to send a guy to interview, and he said, "Why should I go to an interview? I'm getting more money and unemployment, and if I take your money for the interview trip, I mean, I will be losing that money, and I'm getting 600 euros something on my monthly, and I do my artwork, and I have time on my hand, so." I make some money from my arts and I get some unemployment from the government. So I'm making almost close to what I used to make and I have time on my hand. So
Right.
that was the answer he gave me from the Europe. So it kind of coincides with what you're saying here.
Yeah.
But yeah, but here in this unemployment also there are some rules, right? I mean, there are some states are imposing like if you are unemployed, I mean, you need to show some activity, like you have applied for so and so, I mean, places, and you have attended an interview. They are they are insisting people to show that activity too. Some states, I'm not sure it is done by every state or not, but I'll leave the topic right there. Uh, this COVID-19 same time, we have another social issue, especially started in Minneapolis, the Black Lives Matter movement. So, what is your view and what is your perspective on the Black Lives Matter in this country right now?
Well, I understand the plight of the African American community, but there's major concerns that I have. Concern number one is erasing history, and not remembering the struggle that the black community went through when they were slaves, and tearing down all the statues and removing all that history because history tends to repeat itself if you don't learn from it. So I think that that's one of the most harmful parts of what's happening. Um, I think that the the Black Lives Matter area needs to be addressed because there really is not from my understanding, it's not a functional organization. And so where's the money going for the donations of Black Lives Matter? And so it's also being taken hostage by Antifa and people that are in the realm of destruction and want to destroy everything. And anarchists don't want to destroy the government, and they're using the Black Lives Matter excuse to do this type of damage. So it has spread fingers or arms or branches that have really done a lot of damage into the area. I think that we need to have a sit down dynamic talk about what's going on in 1 second. So
Sure.
I apologize.
No issues.
Um, so it is like I said, it's a true struggle. There is some racism out there, and they do need a voice. They need somebody to support them. And again, I have many Black American friends, and Islanders, and I understand. But the problem is that other people have taken their cause hostage and have done more damage than good. It's one of those things that when you radicalize it, it becomes a problem. And so everything on Black Lives Matter, and they may not necessarily be the ones doing all the destruction, but they're trying to voice their concerns and what's going on in their lives. And so I personally understand, and I'm happy to be a voice for my friends. Like I said, I have many firefighters who have told me that they have to teach their children to, if they get stopped by a police officer, to be polite, to be kind, to keep their hands on the steering wheel. But I don't think it's in general all police officers. So yes, there is some bad apples in the bunch, but we have to be able to weed those out and make sure that the unions don't continue to defend them.
Gotcha. We got your view on the perspective on the Black Lives Matter movement, and that's very nice. I mean, coming back to the education in Florida, I mean, education in the country itself overall, and is little not that great. I mean, whenever I talk to anybody in the country, I mean, education in the U.S. itself is not that great, and especially in the Florida is also not. I mean, not to the top states. So not in the top state. So what is in you being a PTA, a member president of a few years, and you understand, and you're trying to be, and you're also lawmaker in one of these areas, and you are running for a law making office. So what is that you look at it, and what is the ways you would like to improve the education system in Florida, especially?
Yeah, well, I think that Florida was headed in the right direction in reference to improvements in education. Um, and so I sent my children to public school from kindergarten through eighth grade. And then in high school level, I decided to send them to parochial Catholic school, which I paid for myself. And so I wanted that level of religious education that I wanted for my children, so I decided to pay for it. I was paying double, paying school taxes and paying the school. I have no problem with vouchers and the money following the child. I think it's important that our tax dollars follow that child that it's assigned to. So if a parent has a school that's the rating is not doing great and they're not having the success that they think that their children should have, those tax dollars should follow the child to wherever they go, whether they decide to go charter or parochial or a private school. What I don't agree with is that the tax dollars go to for-profit schools such as the charter system is a charter program. I don't agree that our state tax dollars should go to fund their building construction, building maintenance. They're a for-profit company, so let them use their profits to maintain their buildings and so that's where I agree with some people here in Florida. I think that we need to continue to look and continue to develop the way we're going. Miami-Dade Public Schools, the fourth largest public school system in the nation, has done an amazing job in educating our students. And the school board, with the chairwoman Perla Tabatis Hatman that lives here in Miami Lakes, and she's been chair for almost 12 years. Has done a phenomenal job in leading the school board and getting the teachers on board and motivated to teach our children. One of the biggest problems that we were having in Florida is we were teaching to a test, and we weren't teaching the students. And we were so worried about test scores on these major tests, such as the Florida FCAT test, or to get measurements, that we were teaching towards the test and not teaching the student. And I think that that's one of the things that Governor DeSantis has come up, took a Common Core education, eliminated that Common Core and went back to the basics. And I think that that is going to bring Florida back into the fold of education again and make us one of the leaders in the United States. But, it's one of those things. We need to concentrate on getting our students fed, make sure that they have proper meals, make sure they have proper rest, make sure they have all the tools that they need to be a good student and be in a good facility. And so, again, if that parent decides that they want to move their child to a better school, I see absolutely no problem with that.
Got you. Very nice to see your perspective on the school system in Florida and especially what's happening in the Florida. Well, I want to ask you one last question. So you're running on a Republican ticket, I mean, for House of Representatives from District 103 in Florida. And I read, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, I read somewhere that GOP is not supporting you wholeheartedly. So what do you think and why is it so? Am I right or wrong? Yeah.
Well, you're 50-50. The local GOP, the elected, the voting body is very supportive. Some of the local in my community, Republicans have decided to support my opponent. And I think that one of the problems is that I'm very vocal. I'm not afraid to speak, and I'm not afraid to give my opinion. And so I believe in governing the way I see life. And what's good for the people, right? And if it's right, it's right. No matter what issue, whether it be Republican or Democrat, it's the right issue to address. And so I may not agree 100% with the bullet points of the GOP, but I think that my conservative values and my religious values make me a good moderate GOP candidate that can build bridges and bring both sides together. And I think that we've drawn so far to the right and so far to the left in our Democratic and Republican parties that there's no middle ground people anymore. And so I'm a middle ground person, and I like I said, I speak my mind. And some of these GOP folks that are locally that want control, and they want to control the candidates, and the elected. And I'm not going to be controlled by anybody. I'm going to run my campaign and do my business as a elected official as I see fit and as I see right for the community. And again, if it's a Democratic issue and it's the right thing to do, we work with the Democrats to get it done. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. It's very simple. I have amazing life experiences coming from a single mom, my HOA, my fire department life. That a lot of people don't have that amount of exposure to the world. And I've been very, very lucky to have that. And so, they're looking for somebody that they can control and that owes them. And that's just locally. Let's see what happens tomorrow. After tomorrow, if I win, the state GOP normally gets involved in the race. We'll find out what kind of support I have at that point.
Gotcha. We see that. Thank you very much for sharing your views and the perspectives. I mean, on some of the aspects which we discussed, topics which we have discussed. Anything else you want to give a message or say something to the audience? Like, if they want to be part of your campaign, where they can go. Those kind of details too, please.
Yeah. So tomorrow is election day. I've been very fortunate to be endorsed by the Sun Sentinel, which is the newspaper out of Broward, and the Miami Herald, which both called for a fresh face and fresh ideas in Tallahassee, and that included some of my ideas, because again, I think we have to think out of the box and look at different dynamics of what, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But there's a lot of broken parts in the system that need to be fixed. And I'm willing to take on those issues to bring people together, whether it be from both sides of the aisle. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I was endorsed by the Miami Herald and the Sun Sentinel. I was also endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police, which shows the support that I have for police, although some of my opponents have been attacking me on both of those issues because I don't see eye to eye with them. And that's a direct quote from one of the big GOP people here in my area, that I don't see eye to eye with them. But at the end of the day, I hope to have success on Tuesday. Regardless of being elected or not, I will continue to be a community activist and protect my community and look at issues and campaign for issues because I now have a voice. Once being elected, I really found my voice on the community. And then just look at the polls. If we win on tomorrow and you want to get involved with the campaign after that, they can send me an email at Nelson 103, so it's NELSONFOR 103 at gmail.com. And so they can send me an email that way and get involved with the campaign after the 13th, and we'd be happy to have them.
Thank you very much for coming onto the show, Mr. Nelson Rodriguez, and for sharing your views and the perspectives. And we wish you all the best in the run. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation. I truly appreciate it.
Have a nice rest of the day. Thank you, sir.